it's about getting into schools and talking to young people, because, you know, I know that people can change. And it's about talking to people and getting them to understand and perhaps step back from violence and prejudice and whatever. And we just need to work together and keep on the good fight there.
Absolutely. Hey there, guys. We are ecstatically happy to announce that we are associated with the Sophie Lancaster Foundation.
The times are changing, and with the unfortunate death of Sophie, those changes have made a massive impact for the future. If Sophie was with us still today, I can guarantee what you are doing will still be reaching so many lives of young teenagers, young adults, and those who wish to be as different as possible. So thank you very much.
To find out more about this incredible foundation and all the work they do, and more importantly, how you can help, head on over to www.sophielancasterfoundation.com.
My name's Adam Gregory. I'm one of the festival directors for Bloodstock Open Air. You're listening to the Chronicles of Podcast with Tom and Jamie.
You put your right hand up, you put your left hand up, and then you double wave, motherfuckers. How's it going? And welcome to the Chronicles of Podcast. We are back again. We're 31 now. We're 31. This is the 31st edition. 3-1. Can you believe it, Jamie?
I can't believe it. We're getting so old.
We are. We really are. Anyway, I believe that these are the Chronicles of Adam Gregory.
They are indeed.
Shall we?
I think we should, because my arms are going to fall off in a minute.
Hit it! Jamie.
Yes, sir.
Should we get that piece of resistance in?
I think we should. Let's let him in from the cold.
Welcome to the Chronicles of Adam Gregory. Adam is one of the directors of the Bloodstock Festival. This was an absolutely unbelievable conversation. We had so much fun chatting to Adam, all about the origins of the Bloodstock Festival itself. You know, how his father was just having a pint in a pub. Mental. I'll leave it at that for you to understand. And he was just genuinely one of the most humblest human beings ever. Just a very, very nice guy.
Absolutely loved this conversation. I thought it was going to be really interesting to learn more about the festival, and there's so much more to it than we even realised there was. It's amazing stories, amazing things that Adam's gone through. The amount of work they put into this festival is insane. And just the fact they do everything they can just to make sure for those 3 days, 4 days, wherever it is, people just have a good time.
Yeah, it's amazing how much you don't realise goes into a festival. It's like, that fence, how big is it? How wide do we need it? How many, there's big bollardy things to sit in. Do we need, like, nuts? How much walkway do we need for this, that, and the other? Absolutely crazy. All the work that goes in. And the fact that they're already prepping for next year as well is like, what? But this year hasn't even happened yet.
I know.
So it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But it's amazing that if you really want to do something and put your mind to it and you work fucking hard, you can do whatever you want.
Absolutely. One of the main reasons we reached out to Adam to talk about the festival as well is because these guys. Obviously, for those that don't know, the second stage of the Bloodstock Festival is the Sophie Lancaster stage. They use that platform to spread that message every single year. Sylvia and the foundation attend the festival every single year, and they're going to do the same this year. So if you're there, go pop by, say hello. And, you know, we wanted to learn more about why the festival decided to work with Sophie, what they're doing with it and everything. And it's a fascinating story. And Adam does spread that message quite beautifully.
Absolutely.
May we say.
Absolutely. So, guys, Jamie.
Yes, sir.
Any final words?
Adam, thank you very much, sir. And if we can make it along, beers are on us.
Absolutely. Adam, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us. We really do appreciate it. We hope that you guys enjoy this one. It is a doozy. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, interviewing this week He is one of the directors of the Bloodstock Open Air Festival and has a habit of falling out of chairs. It's Adam Gregory!
I love the fact both your beards are pretty much exactly the same, just a different colour.
Yeah, well, yeah, I keep going through this thing that I keep shaving it down to sort of next to nothing and then wish I hadn't done it. So, yeah, it's what you do. I think you get bored.
I'm the opposite way around because I don't like it too long because it gets really wiry and for some reason it's like full volume and it goes, no, just then little strands just start coming out. I'm like, oh, that's weird.
I do this thing. I thought I'd go through seasonal changes. So I think to myself, summer's coming, right, festival season, I've got to get a big, massive beard going. And then I think, right, straight afterwards, I'll shave it or trim it. And then I think to myself, oh, actually, no, winter's coming, I'll keep it a bit longer. By which time I've already trimmed it and it's too late. So I'll start again.
I just had a vision of you like L'Oreal, but like swinging it over your shoulder, like, yeah, and what?
Yeah, one day maybe, not yet.
I'm definitely worth it, guys. So you can all fuck off. So yeah, basically, all we do here is Jamie puts out a nice little introduction, just lures you into a false sense of security,
Good.
And then we absolutely bombard the living fuck out of you with questions. Adam, how does that sound?
Yeah, that's fine. I've got the intelligence to answer one at a time, so we're all good.
That's what we're like. Beautiful. Let's get started.
Good stuff.
Hello, everyone. Today we bring you another wonderful guest, unlike anyone we've had before. Every year in early August, if you take a trip to Derby, you will find the hallowed ground of the Bloodstock Festival, a metal music festival that's been going for over 20 years. Today's guest is one of the directors of Bloodstock. Here to talk all about the festival is the man who reportedly shouldn't lean backwards on chairs. It's Mr. Adam Gregory.
How we doing? The chair's all fixed. We're all good.
Hey.
Can I get a little bit of context because I did not find this when
Google is not my friend on that particular subject. Do you honestly not know?
Honestly, I have no idea. No,
you're probably the only person on the planet that doesn't. I was doing a Facebook Live with Vicky.
Okay.
I think we were actually talking about anthrax. We were doing a giveaway for some of the fans, and she was going on about something about loves and likes, or whatever it was. Anyway, I took this beer mat, whatever it was, off through it, and as I did, I was doing that sort of smug leaning back thing while I wait. But as I did that, the wheel had fallen off the chair and I hadn't realised behind me, and let's say feet went up in the air and I hit my head on the radiator behind me and it was all messy. So yeah, it was and Vicky did nothing other than break out laughing and couldn't stop laughing for about 5 minutes. So yeah, it was it became very infamous, and there was lots of memes that went around and little sort of snippets afterwards. So thanks for that, and no one's let me forget.
I saw a beautiful piece of artwork. Someone drawn a cartoon of it and everything. It's fucking brilliant.
Well, to be fair, Abby Stabby Art, she did one for me a couple of weeks ago, where actually exactly that. It was one of those caricatures, and it was me falling off the chair. Yeah. So it's even years further down the line, they're still letting me relive that one, which is great.
I'm amazed you didn't actually you've got to get at least one. Are you all right in before you laugh, though? You've got to get at least one in. You can't just go straight off that, pissing yourself.
Well, not for me to say, but there you go. We move on.
We do. Yeah. We do. Let's get past it. So, sorry, Adam. I generally had absolutely no idea. So
you'll see it on YouTube if you Google it. Don't worry. I'm sure it's on there somewhere.
I know what I'm doing tonight.
Yeah.
But first things first, obviously, because of what's been going on over the past few years, how has your pandemic season been?
It's been tough. It's been tough for everybody in the industry, not just us as festival sort of promoters, but crews and fans not being able to go out and see shows. It's been really hard. But we were fortunate enough where we had the festival 2021. It was right at the back end of restrictions, I guess, or the beginning of restrictions being eased. And we were probably one of the first bigger events that took place with minimal restrictions, albeit, we did impose quite a few ourselves because we just felt at that time it was the right thing. So we were very, very lucky in 21 to have a festival, because some festivals have gone 2 years, with no shows. And that's tough. That's really tough because, for Bloodstock, we're independent, we're family owned. When we don't have a festival, we don't make money. So it's, not that we make money doing festivals nowadays anyway, but, it's your living ultimately that's been terminated. So it's been very tough.
Right. What about you personally?
It's the biggest thing is I guess boredom. I ended up building a bar in the garden.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I got really bored. And the thing is, I don't even drink, so it's like, well, it's like build a bar. Why not? I saw
my Ribena collection.
Well, I know I've started getting a few. Everyone started doing it on Facebook, and I just thought, well, go on then. The wife said that's a good idea. We weren't having a holiday, so we did that. But no, outside of that, it's been tough because everything that you live for and you work for through the year, you're not doing, and you've sort of got no real focus or objective. And I think mentally that's tough to deal with.
Yeah.
The kids. I've got 2 kids, and they found it tough, and you sort of, there's nothing as a parent you can do to sort of manage that. And all of their routines are out the window. The schools have closed, and you then start worrying about the kids love it because it's like no school, brilliant.
Yeah.
But it's the bigger, longer term effects that they aren't appreciating at that time, which became very difficult. Remote learning. Let's be honest, kids aren't interested in doing that because why should they? And as a parent, I don't have the skill set to be a teacher. I tell my kids to do something and they think I'm telling them off. So it's not the same environment. It's very difficult. And for any parent that managed to do it, absolute kudos to them because it was tough. It was tough for everybody. But we're on the other side of that now at last. I like to think that we're in a situation where we can sort of have normality for 22 now to a degree. Obviously, with what's happening in Ukraine and Russia at the moment, which is horrific, and you sort of think you through everything and then, okay, now we're being hit with that. I think it's still going to be a tough year, to be fair.
No, I absolutely agree with you. It's crazy with the pandemic, obviously. At the beginning, everyone was like, you know what? I'm not working for 3 weeks or a month or 2 months or 3 months. Oh my God, and it's summer. Yeah. And then obviously when it started to creep into the autumn and into the winter, then I think that really starts to tell a tale. It's amazing, isn't it? How when you have things taken away from you, you're a bit like, well, no, can I not just no, you can't.
It was silly freedoms like just seeing your friends or going out for a meal and a couple of drinks. All that stopped, and you were almost under house arrest, and it was horrible, and we take everything like this for granted as a civilization, a culture, whatever it may be, in the UK. But it's quite hurtful when you're not allowed to do it. And I think I was relatively fortunate. We caught COVID at the beginning. I say at the beginning, the December 20, we caught COVID as a family. And we were lucky. We had very, very few symptoms. I think I lost sense of taste or smell for a few weeks. And that was probably it. I think hay fever hit me harder. And I know I was very, very fortunate because I know lots of people that were horrific, that thought they were going to die. It was that bad. It was horrible for a lot of people. So, it's merciless in its attack of who it attacks and how. People playing it down as nothing. It's a cold. It's get over it. They were lucky if they got it and they didn't have the bigger symptoms. I know people personally that were really bad. And some managed to pull through. Unfortunately, some didn't, which is a real shame. But I think we can all be attested that we probably know somebody that's been affected negatively in that way. But you're right. Summer came and it was like brilliant. No work. It was a beautiful summer as well. It was great. Sort of get in the garden, get some colour. But like you say, after a few weeks, that gets a bit boring, and it's like, right, well, I want to go back now to doing my stuff, and you can't. But you guys, no doubt, went through the same.
Yeah, well, I imagine you were a bit like, summer's here, brilliant. Oh, yeah, I can't actually put the festival on. Oh, great.
Yeah, and it was hard for everybody involved in the festival and in the industry, I think, felt that pinch because, and the longer effects of that have been that so many people with Brexit and then this as well, either had to leave the UK because of Brexit and everything else, or then the pandemic hit and they've had to, because the industry died pretty much overnight, they've had to still feed the family and pay the mortgage or the rent or the bills, whatever it may be, and have had to go off and get jobs in other industries to sort of keep earning. They couldn't just wait around because the industry that we're in, as you probably know, fell between the cracks when it came to the government support.
Well, yeah, they didn't give me shit, did they?
No, really? Not even slightly. It took a long time for any level of support to be offered, and then the CRF grants came out. But then again, not everybody was able to benefit from those. It was only select. So, it was extremely difficult. And now sort of post-pandemic, We're looking ahead to 22, and the effects of that are massive. Price increases have gone exponential across the industry and across all sectors. So, what you paid for a stage two years ago is 35% more than it was then this year. But security and fencing and toilets and, electricity, then you've got the diesel tax that's now gone, where you had the benefit of being able to use red diesel in the fields when you were sort of using generators. Well, 70p a litre was great. Now we're paying pump prices for the diesel because that tax benefit's been ripped away from all the industry. Yeah. So, that's hurting the whole industry massively. And yet we're still trying to put on an affordable event because we appreciate that people haven't been working and they don't have, hordes of coffers sitting at home to spend on shows. You've got to do what you've got to do. So, we've retained our prices year on year for 22 because we just felt it was the right thing to do. But ultimately we're picking up a far higher bill to do the same thing, which is not the fans' fault. It's not our fault. It's just the way things have gone. It's really hard. So it's going to be an interesting, fun year for everybody, I think, again.
Agreed.
But on the positive, it's all booked. The show must go on, and there'll be 120 plus bands in the field come August. With lots and lots of fans and lots of beer, and we can just have a great time and worry about it later.
Yeah. Worry about it the week after.
It'll be fine. Be all right. We'll be fine.
So before we talk about the festival properly, let's learn a bit more about you, sir. Okay. Take us back to a world before Bloodstock. What did you originally plan for yourself as a career when you were young Master Gregory, we could say?
Well, as anything, leaving school, you want to be a rocket ship pilot, whatever, you're an astronaut, whatever it may be. And, I ended up being a mechanic for a while. Got fed up of coming home, sitting in the bath for 2 hours, trying to get the grease out your fingertips. Normal stuff, normal story. So I ended up getting into the cleaner side of motors and selling them. So ended up doing various stints at different dealerships and ended up eventually working for a well-known Japanese brand, as I say, a fleet manager basically for the dealership. And with my wife, who I met at that dealership, we ended up being the biggest dealership in the country, which was great. Did that for about 18, 19 years. But while I was doing that, we were also doing Bloodstock. That started in 2001 as a concept, in 2000 from Paul, my dad. And we sort of just started bitting and bobbing with that, really, and sort of hoping one day that you could actually do that full time. But, for the first 12, 15 years, that was just a hope, because it's ultimately couldn't afford to pay a wage. So stayed in motors for best part of 18 years. And then about 5 years ago, we were in a position where Bloodstock needed more of a sort of full-time person or people at that time. And we've sort of staged that because obviously with what I do in my business, I was able to be the first person to go into Bloodstock full-time and sort of do that as a sort of Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday, day to day. And then Rachel joined me doing that about 2 years ago because as Bloodstock's grown, the demand on I suppose, manpower's increased exponentially with what we have to do now. It was about 2.5, 3 years ago. Sorry, Rachel joined. Now there's only really two of us doing it kind of full time as myself and Rachel. Vicky, who books the bands, she's still got a full time day job. So she's trying to sort of manage and balance all those bands along with Simon Hall, sort of why they've got day jobs. And Paul's doing his artwork and his painting and sort of still steering the ship from the big seat. So yeah, it's been fun, interesting. It's better than a proper job. I like to say. I'm very fortunate, and I do have to concede that I'm extremely fortunate to be doing the job that I do because I love music and I love people, and to be able to put the two together is just, to me, heaven. It really is. If I died tomorrow, I'd die a happy man because I've been able to do something and I've been fortunate to do something I've enjoyed doing. And I think most people in the industry, in my position, would probably say something very similar.
That's amazing. I love that. I love to hear things like that, because you only get one life. So it's amazing, you're doing something for a living you love.
And don't get me wrong, we all want to do that perfect job and that job that we love. And sometimes it's very difficult to attain that or achieve that. Not everybody gets that sort of utopian position in life. And we all within Bloodstock believe that we've kind of been fortunate enough to get that. It's still very hard work, don't get me wrong. It's not easy and it has its challenges. being a family, we swear at each other a lot more than we would do if we were employed normally. And we fall out regularly. But it's all for a passion for the same reason. So, and it's not just us. Let me, put that out there. There's a lot of people involved within Bloodstock and with making that happen. And, from the teams that work with us, from the production company, SV Productions we work with, security and stage teams and lighting and everything. Everybody that's involved has a passion. And that's so lovely to see.
It's what's good there, as we see you fall out a lot, and it's because you all care, though, don't you? It would suck if you didn't, if no one, if you weren't falling out at each other, swearing at each other, etc.
Oh,
it's all for the love of it. It's beautiful.
There's a tremendous amount of passion there, I have to say, and sometimes that can take over the emotion. You get very emotional, on things because you want it. We all want it to be absolutely perfect. And we want it to be the best it can be for the fans' experience and for our experience and for the crews and the teams, and I think the dynamic that we have is great because although we clash on certain things, we also have skill sets that we bring, and everybody has that dynamic difference that I think kind of makes it work. And I think if you remove one element of that, it kind of probably wouldn't be what it is today. And that's not just myself and brothers and sisters and dad and everything else. That's the whole family unit, including all the fans and all the teams that work with us. It's we listen. That's the big thing. We like to listen.
Amazing. So, as you said, your dad came up with the idea of Bloodstock in 2001. But where did that idea come from?
It was actually 2000. He was sitting in a pub opposite the assembly rooms, and he was just basically shooting the breeze with a few people. And they were reminiscing on the old Monsters of Rock days and things like that. And it was just mentioned that he said, there's nowhere you can go now in the UK that's got proper rock metal bands that you can go and have a good old sort of festival kind of show. And somebody said to him, Ben, they'd had a few beers at this point, and somebody sort of mentioned, you should start one, Paul. Knowing that with my dad is an artist, so he's very much fire from the hip. If an idea pops in his head, doesn't need a lot of thought. If he knows it's a good idea, just do it. And that's kind of what he did. He basically was just moseyed on over to the assembly rooms and booked the venue for the following year. It was, no idea at all what he was doing or what the concept was going to be. He hadn't even thought of the name at that time for Bloodstock. And the lucky thing is he's obviously being an artist, which was his kind of passion and his day job. He was done album covers for Saxon and whatever since 1984 was the first one for Crusader. So he did nothing other than went home, gave Biff a ring and said, look, I need you to do me a favour. I've never asked you for anything. I'm putting on a festival next year. I need you to headline it. And Biff, being as creative as he is and in the same wavelength as Paul, just went, yeah, all right, no worries, I'll do that. and that was it. Yeah, it was kind of one of those surreal moments. And it started out as a one-day festival back in 2001. So it was literally just, they'd had a few beers. Had they not gone out that night or that day, would Bloodstock have happened? Maybe not. Because that spontaneity of just literally walking to the venue and booking it probably wouldn't have been there.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
That is an awesome origin story. What about the name Bloodstock, though? It stands out. Where did that name come from?
That was, again, they were just sort of shooting the breeze. I think it was Martin Walker, actually, that sort of spiraled the name back in the day. And I think he sort of said it and everyone kind of just went, yeah, cool, that works. Let's do that. Not thinking at the time it was anything to do with horse racing. That wasn't the mentality behind it, which we since discovered it was.
Wait, is it what?
Bloodstock. It's to do with horses as well. Believe it or not, yeah, it's to do with, I don't know whether it's the breed or what they call certain breeds of horses, or I don't know but I know it's to do with horse racing anyway. But we don't look at it like that. It's all about Stan and whatnot. Yeah.
So at what point did you get involved in the festival then? Was it from the beginning or?
Yeah, I was involved from 2001, but just not with any real kind of identity. It was Paul and a guy called Vince Brotheridge that sort of spearheaded Bloodstock initially. In the early years, and between them they kind of called the shots, ran the show and everything else, and we were just there as his kids to pick up the pieces. I think Vicky and Rachel were doing merch on the merch stand. I was basically backstage just as a bit of a runner, and something needed done, go off and do that, get this done, and whatever. So it was, although in its infancy, we didn't come in as sort of high tier employees or anything else like that. We started from, you know, an entry point. I'd like to think, I never say the bottom because there isn't a bottom in the industry, but, you know, an entry point in knowledge, and kind of grew with the festival and learned more every time we did it. You know, I mean, how we got away with it in the first 6-7 years is still a mystery. You know, some of the stuff that we kind of got up to and not knowing a thing what we were doing. You know, even riders. I've got a list of riders for the bands. I'd just pop off to Asda, you know, and just sort of, I'd be picking the shelves and thinking, they wanted what? That's close enough, that'll do. You know, it was like, but it works. You know, nobody really complained, and you know, we just learned more as we went along, and we learned a lot of stuff off people in the industry as well. You know, who we met over the years, who sort of told us, actually, you could probably do it better if you do it this way. It's like, light bulb moment. Yeah, why didn't we think of that? So you know, it's as much as I'd love to think it's all, you know, our doing. We learned a lot along the way from a lot of very influential people. So, you know, and a lot of very intelligent people who do well in this industry. So it's always good, I think, to never assume you know everything. Be prepared and be open to learn. You know, even now, I wouldn't sit here and say we're experts at what we do. You know, we put on a great festival, which is done by great people, but we learn something new every single year. So it's always good to do that.
That is absolutely amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. I feel that alternative people, in a way, kind of get forgotten about. You know, you have like all the clubs and all the shows and stuff that happen. Like, I think there's like maybe one, if not at all, any alternative bars or clubs anymore. They don't really. I think maybe there's like maybe a night, like a club night will have one rock room, but you're not get a lot of people in there. And it's just, I feel that it's quite nice now that you've got that, you know, you've got Download. I think there was Ozfest back in the day as well, which I think is now Download. So to have something else that's a bit heavier, more metal-esque is incredible, because obviously Reading and Leeds used to be a more alternative festival, and now that's just got a mixture of everything in there now.
They play to the audiences, you know, and that's their business model, and that's fair enough. You know, that's their thing. That's not our thing. You know, with us, we've always been a metal festival. We've always been for the alternative, and you know, the I don't want to say sort of smaller genre, because I don't think it is. I think there's you know, most people do recognize rock and metal music in some capacity, and they enjoy it, and it allows them to be themselves without judgment. You know, and so it's a lot bigger than people think. You know, there's a lot more rock and metal fans out there wearing the suits and the ties. They're accountants and lawyers and mechanics or doctors, nurses, all that kind of stuff, who, let's be honest, don't get to live the life they want all the time. And I think what we've created is that break away from normality to be themselves. And that's what I love about it. You know, the amount of people we see walking around in the bizarrest of wares that you wouldn't see in the day-to-day street are quite at home. And it's a beautiful thing to see. It really is, because I love the fact people can come and just be themselves without judgment.
Yeah.
And that's the best part about the whole festival. You know, people say to me, what's my favorite thing at Bloodstock every year? And it is when I get up to go on stage and just have a look at the crowd, not the bands, because, you know, you can see the bands kind of wherever, and the bands are amazing and they do a great job, and that's lovely that they're there. But it's the fans that have all come together for one unified reason, and that's just to enjoy themselves and be themselves. So that to me is the highlight of Bloodstock, 100%.
Beautiful.
It's like I've written that self specifically for that question. It's true though, it is true.
So Bloodstock's changed a lot over the years. You know, you've gone from single days to multiple days, adding new stages, etc. Hell, didn't there used to be two separate festivals? Wasn't there an indoor and an outdoor festival at one point in time?
Well, yeah, we went through a transition where we were indoor 2005. I think we did that for 2 years, where we tried running with Bloodstock indoor, Bloodstock outdoor.
Yeah.
I think the indoor was May and the outdoor was kind of August, September. But it kind of didn't really work at that time, because I think Download had started in 2004. Sonosphere came not long after that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I think the offering of, at that time, an indoor and an outdoor for the same event didn't work. Whereas now there are other indoor shows and there's more choice, which I think is amazing and it's great. But you know, for us at that time, it kind of, when you sort of count the coffers at the end of it, how much do you owe? And it wasn't how much you made, it was definitely how much you owe. It was like, yeah, this isn't kind of working with two shows of the same thing, but one being indoor. So we then shifted purely to outdoor and made sure that we put as much time and effort into that to make it all it could be as possible. So yeah, the outdoor was born and the indoor sadly passed over. But since then, the assembly rooms has actually caught fire and they've condemned it. So we kind of can't go back there anyway.
No, definitely not.
Shame.
But are these changes, they just like natural progression, or is someone in the office going, I got a fucking great idea, another stage?
I think it's a bit of natural progression and a bit of both. The ideas definitely come to play. Paul, Frank would say with the New Blood stage, Paul was a massive advocate in the early days of having, I think at that time it was the Lava stage, where it was about offering and giving new and emerging talent that opportunity to be showcased. Because Paul's an artist first and foremost, and creativity and promoting that level of creativity is the top of his agenda 100%. And he was the lead voice and the advocate behind Metal to the Masses in the early days. And it was a tough sell because, at that time when Bloodstock was about and we started doing these road shows, if you like, looking for bands, there was a lot of dirty promotion out there with pay to play and battle of the bands type things where bands had to sell tickets or they had to pay an amount of money, which they might get back if the show sold out, whatever it may be. And there was a lot of emphasis on the band to sort of do the work and the venue take the benefit. So Paul, and ourselves, we didn't want that it had to be a clear and concise and transparent program. And it took a lot to overcome that in the early days. So, the ruling was quite simply a band has no pressure on them whatsoever other than to perform. We're not interested in them selling tickets. We're not interested in them paying a penny. And if we see a promoter who's actually endorsing that, then we drop the promoter. We work with somebody else. Nice. So, it's got to be about performance. It's got to be about the showmanship and how that band actually hits the stage and what they deliver, nothing else. And there shouldn't be a distraction from that for the band. But then there needs to be a route to sort of work with these bands and offer them something back. So for argument's sake, nowadays we record all of the shows for the bands and we massively subsidize it. There is a cost to the band still, but we sort of take the big cost because we give them a recorded show which has already been pre-edited and mixed, but we then also give them the full multi-tracks for them to mix themselves and everything else for their entire show, which we kind of pick up the majority of the cost for, to try and give them that opportunity to have something professional to sort of showcase themselves, because your phone's only going to get so much and sound distortion and everything else. Give these bands opportunities with agents and management and press and the fans to see them and stuff like that. So and follow the careers through to see if we can sort of progress them onto other stages. So as that kind of developed from the New Blood stage, then the same thing happened with the Sophie Lancaster stage, and obviously we know the sad story behind Sophie and the banner at the back of you there I can see.
Yeah, we're going to touch on that.
Yeah, and it felt right that we wanted that stage not to be a 1-2 year naming opportunity. It's something that we felt was extremely poignant to certainly our culture and music, and the discrimination that I think we've all probably faced with even the snide remarks that people may used to say about you grab and you greasy, whatever it may be, and we've all been victim of that. Even when I used to have hair on my head, I had the same sort of discrimination to a degree in the earlier years. So we wanted to make sure that when we did that, it was a name that would stay in forever with the festival and with that stage. So Sophie, the Lancaster stage, has kind of grown as the festival's grown, and higher profile bands now sort of hit that stage, which is fantastic to see as well. And you've got 2 solid offerings on there with your sort of Main and Sophie, and then you've got some great acoustic sets and other sets with the Jaeger stage and the emerging talent now on the New Blood stage. And there's even talk of in the future doing something else with maybe a kind of a bluesy type stage as well, because that's the backbone and the grounding for a lot of metal and rock originates from blues. So it's almost like a bit of an origin stage type thing. Whether we call it that or something else, I don't know. But so there's always that thought process going. It's what can we do that's going to give the fans what they really want, and create a weekend. Because all we want to do is create memories. If people can come to Bloodstock, and you want to have those I was there moments. And it's when we've had Twisted Sisters last ever show, and lots of other bands have done sort of the same sort of things. Judas Priest last year with the 50th anniversary show, and it was the first show that they'd done, obviously with the pandemic and everything else, which was delayed. So it's nice to have those moments in time that people can reflect back in 10, 15, 20 years and tell the kids and the grandkids about. And I remember when I was there and this happened and that happened, and it was great. We've done a few. I'm talking and waffling now. We've done a few live streams over the years, and people used to say to me, "Well, doesn't that detract from people attending?" And to me, absolutely no, not at all, because we can all flick on YouTube and watch a show. But what you can't do is you can't get that feeling of emotion and passion and the real sound and the amps going through you at the front and all that type of stuff. You can't get that on a TV or a computer screen or anything else. You've got to be there. So, I think for those people that want that experience, they will always want to go to festivals. And it's just great to be able to deliver that.
Absolutely.
I just in awe of you, sir. I salute you. I bow down. Everything. Absolutely unbelievable. The fact that you give unsigned bands a chance. And then, as you're saying, you pre-mix stuff, the editing, you give them all the copies, etc. Phenomenal to begin with. I think one of my friends' bands played last year. I think they won a Battle of the Bands thing to play, which was Ascaris. Alex Markovecchio is a good friend of mine. I haven't seen him for a while, but anyway, that's irrelevant. So yeah, absolutely incredible that you do that sort of thing. You give those inside bands a chance. But have you ever gone to your father and gone, "Can we get this band, please? Can you play this band? Can we get this band, please, Dad? Dad, can we get this band?" Or
to be fair, it's Vicky that books the bands now, so it's her choice. It's down to her. Yeah, I mean, but there are bands, and to be fair, the nice thing is that she does listen to the sort of the wider community. So it's not just her and Simon's decision to say, right, we're booking this band. We have a bit of a collective that goes around, that we have a bit of an inner circle, and we'll bounce ideas off. We listen to a lot of feedback, so we scour the social media and the forums and everything else to see who they want to see. Because again, we have I guess taste in music as everybody does, but my taste wouldn't always be the popular choice. I like stuff that other people are going to absolutely hate, and vice versa. So a lot of the bands we put on may not be the band that I particularly love, but I know there's a massive urge that people want to see those bands. And I think Vicky and Simon do a great job of delivering a very mixed, eclectic show, because I think it's important to remember we are a metal festival. We're not although we started as a power metal festival at the time, we're not a specific genre of metal type festival. Metal is metal, and it comes in so many different forms, and we need to be able to showcase that as broadly as we can. I love hearing the stories of people that have been to the festival and they've seen such and such a band for the first time, and I didn't think it would be my cup of tea, but actually live they blew me away, and all that type of stuff. They're the best things. They're the great stories, because you're changing people's perceptions. And you're allowing people to sort of absorb something that, well, let's be honest, they probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to do. Partway Drive, Hatebreed. These are bands that we've had on that received a lot of negativity at the original time they were booked. The actual shows they delivered completely blew people away on the weekend and changed their minds as to their original concepts. And we had a lot of people say after the Partway Drive booking, for argument's sake, we were wrong. They're brilliant. And that was fantastic to see.
I was going to say, how can you get negativity for Parkway Drive? That's unbelievable.
It's a choice. Look, it's just a choice thing, and that's great. I think everybody does. They have to have a choice, and they have to have been able to express that. And it's not for me to say somebody's wrong because they have a decision on something. But what I would like people to do is be open and say, okay, fine, you're saying this, that, and everything about a band. Watch them. If you still honestly to yourself and truly can say you feel the same afterwards, fair enough. I can't argue with you. But it was lovely to see so many people actually change their mind post-set and say, yeah, actually, you were right. And that's cool.
Because I can't stand it when it's like, who's your favourite band? Because my favourite band's Day to Remember. And they go, is it a lot of Day to Remember? Go, what's this full of shit? Oh, sorry, mate. Now you've mentioned it, I'll never listen to it ever again. So sorry about that.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. To be fair, I mean, to be honest, I hadn't listened to a lot of Partway Drive when we booked them. And I have to be honest and say, I kind of formed an opinion purely on the name, because I'm just thinking, it'll be one of them kind of hipster type bands, won't it? And whatever. And I thought, well, I don't know why we booked them. So then I listened to it and thought, actually, this is amazing. These are really, really good, really tight.
Yeah.
And the show, wow. I mean, if anybody's seen a live Partway show, they're incredible. They go full out and they blow your brains out. So
yes, they do.
All credit to them. You know, they certainly changed a lot of people that weekend, which was brilliant to see.
We love it. We love to see it. But have you had any moments, Adam, where you've gone, I can't believe I'm getting to witness this?
You know, the daft thing is I grew up with, Megadeth and Slayer and Priest and everybody else, you know, and I'm a fan, same as a lot of people are. You know, I am a fan. And it's a very surreal moment when I'm kind of standing face to face having a conversation, whether it be with Dave Mustaine or Rob Halford or kind of anybody else. And you have to keep pinching yourself thinking, am I really here? You know, Chris, I mean, I'm a wrestler. I used to love watching the WWE wrestling with Chris Jericho, Y2J, and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
You know, I've met Chris a few times now at different sort of points in my life, where he comes up to me now and he's shouting, you know, he kind of, I always remember the last time he played Bloodstock, he'd been for a shower and he's walking across the backstage area just in his towel. And I hadn't seen him sort of arrive before. And he clocked me, hey, Adam, how you doing? And it's like, oh wow, it's just, wow, that's just crazy. It's incredible. You know, to me, he's a hero. I know a lot of people sort of are going to sort of have opinions on his music, but to me, I know him for more than just his music. And I'm a bit of a sort of a smitten for Chris, if you like, as probably a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
He's a dream guest for us. He's definitely a dream guest for us.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a really, really good guy. So it's moments like that I have to sort of stand back and sort of take stock of, and not take it for granted that I have that luxury that, you know, a lot of people would sort of, well, kill for, die for, or pay a lot of money for, whatever it may be, you know, and you can get very easily, I suppose, complacent, very blasé about it. But, you know, as a fan, you kind of also have to hold back a little bit as well and not be that fanboy, because they kind of want, when they're doing the show, they've got to get the headspace in the right place. They want to get set and ready and deliver something, you know, and they don't want a negative experience backstage to sort of tarnish the performance that they give. So you do have to be a kind of a bit withdrawn, if you like, with your emotions sometimes when you see these guys, and treat them as just people, which is exactly what they are, you know. And I think they like that level of normality sometimes. A lot of people do, certainly a lot of bands do, you know. Don't worry, there are the ones that like the other side of it, of course, but we shall not name names.
I like the idea of you stood there being like, you beat The Rock and Stone Cold on the same night. Oh my God.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, he will have those conversations with you. And that's the lovely thing about Chris Jericho. He's he's probably one of the most down-to-earth people I've ever met, and has time for everybody. And that's what I love about some of these bands. They will sit and talk to you and have a conversation with you. And, you know, they aren't, you know, these people that just turn the nose up. You know, do you not know who I am? All that type of stuff. They are just genuine, normal people who do a different job than probably other people do. That's it. You know, in the same way I run a festival, I just do a different job to a mechanic or a carpet fitter or anybody else. I'm no better. I just do a different job.
I love that. So how far out do you start making plans for the festival? So, for example, how far into planning 2023 would you be?
We're already on 23 now. Yeah, we probably start 18 months before the show. As average, you know, we've got a certain size team. There are probably other organizations that can start later than that. I think as time's gone on, you know, we used to talk about bands and we'd phone agents to talk about bands for the following year. And they'll say, call me back in 3 months. It's not, you know, you're a year away. Whereas now we're kind of having conversations and the agents are contacting us for show, the show in 23. And we were having those conversations in November, December last year for 23, which is getting further and further out. Now, some of that has to do with the pandemic, but bands have rolled over year 1 to year 2. And they're now needing to get busy and sort of forward plan shows and whatnot. But we have noticed a trend over the last 5 years that those conversations happen a lot sooner, which is brilliant because it allows us to plan that far ahead. And you're working. We like to think you can try and work 2 years ahead to a degree with certain aspects. And I think band and performances can do that. Infrastructure to a degree can do that when you're sort of planning your 2-3 year deals with some suppliers to try and, you know, negotiate the best possible price for service and quality and everything else. So it's about 18 months and it's an intense amount of work. People just don't realize what is involved. You know, Rachel gets involved with a lot of licensing and, you know, all the nitty gritty that people don't really see up front, because what they'll see is an arena, There's some stalls in there, some food and a couple of fairground rides and a few tents. But to actually make all of that happen, you're putting a city, if you like, or a village or a town into effectively an empty field, and that takes time, and that takes a lot of people to get involved to make that happen.
I've done that before, and I've been at a festival and just looked around and thought, the amount of planning that must actually go into this, even the tiniest things, must be absolute ball ache.
Every single thing you see, there has been a conversation, whether it be a meeting about, and it doesn't matter how small or how big it is, even from, the recycling bins and, the position and things like that, the level of fencing, the type of fencing, you see the steel shield. There's been a conversation whether we need to have three sort of meter steel shield, 2 meter steel shield. How wide is it? It's all that type of stuff that you don't realize goes on, but these conversations have to happen. And it's all very much focused around the fan experience and the safety of the fans as well, the safety of the crews and the bands and everything else. You can't do things cheap. You have to do things properly. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. I thought, we've seen over the years festivals pop up, try to put on a show. They've absolutely lost an absolute ton of money because they didn't appreciate that, it's not as Wayne would like you to believe. Book the bands and they will come. It's a bit more difficult than that. But it's entertaining, but as I said, with the right team, you can put on a good show.
I remember just as we were talking now, I've just reminding myself of what made me have that thought. I think it was a download one year when it was like torrential floods and everything like that.
Yeah.
There's people walking around putting like metal grates and hay down. And I'm thinking to myself, they must have had a meeting as to what they're going to do if the weather's bad. I was like,
well, they do. Well, they do. And the thing is, you download, it's the footfall of people that make it as bad some years as it can be. But the amount of work that those guys do behind the scenes is unparalleled. I kind of get an insight because at the time, our site manager was actually site managing download. She was up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning with a telehandler taking out hay bales into certain parts of the arena and things like that. And then she's working a full day the following day, with teams, not just her on her own, but with the teams. And it's all the bits and bobs that the fans don't see that happens when they're there, because they can't take vehicles into the arena when there's fans there because health and safety won't allow it, and certain things like telehandlers. So they have a window of opportunity, and that is usually when everybody else is sleeping, to try and make everything as effectively good as they can do. But none of us can control the weather. We're at the hands of the gods at that time, and June can be horrifically wet. It can be beautifully sunny. You just never know. And the same for August. We have the same problems. We've had the wind, we've had the rain. We can all be hit with it.
It's the UK. It's January to December.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
you never fucking know.
People sort of look at. I have to laugh. People say, "What's the UK like?" My answer is, "Well, it's great." It's just it's just great. There's no real sort of. It's not like bright sort of Australia's like gorgeous sunshine, 40 degrees. No, it's just great. It's just about the same all year. It's a bit of a monotone climate, really.
And sometimes you get sun and rain at the same time.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I went to Scotland once, and I think we had sun, rain, wind, and snow all in one day. It was amazing. So, you never know what you're going to get. It's all part of it.
So the main reason, we asked you to come on when I spoke to you is, as like ourselves, we're both affiliated to Sophie Lancaster Foundation.
Yeah.
We've got it behind us, as you pointed out. And you've got your second stage named after them, which is absolutely incredible. But how did that relationship come about? Did you reach out to them, or was it the other way around?
No, I think we kind of did. There was a lot of emotion around what happened to Sophie, certainly within the camp. Simon Hall was very passionate about it. Who, Simon books our sort of second and third stage and runs Metals of the Masters for us. And it was incredibly emotional, because I think everybody has at some point felt that, not anything like what Sophie and her boyfriend terribly went through, but have felt that persecution quite simply because of dress code or anything else, music styles and genres that we happen to like and love. And we just felt it was horrific, and something needed to happen. So, we engaged with Adam and Sylvia at the time, proposed what we wanted to do in honor of Sophie's name, and continue to work with the charity moving forward, because I think this isn't something that's fixable overnight.
No,
it's continual. As generations grow and develop, there's always going to be a level of hatred and ignorance that's out there, and we've got to have that continual battle. And I think if we let the association and the voice disappear, the problem will just get worse. So we can all be guilty of being ignorant and not understanding. I think my big issue becomes when it comes down to intent. So if somebody's intending to be abusive or sort of nasty to somebody because that is their intention to hurt them, that's one thing, and that deserves severe punishment. But if somebody's doing that out of ignorance because they just don't understand, then we have a job to do to educate those people. And we've been guilty of it. I'm not going to sit here and say we've got it right every time. We clearly haven't. But what we are doing is we're learning from that all the time. And I think we live in a society now where even today, in 10 or 15 years' time, we're still going to be radically different to where we sit today. We aren't at the pinnacle of development when it comes to society and how people are themselves. And we've got to continually learn and continually be open to learn. But what we wanted Bloodstock to be, and this is where Sophie and the foundation came into play, was we wanted it to be a safe place. We wanted it to be inclusive, where everybody could be themselves without fear of prejudice or anything else. So, we will take any form of abuse at the festival, in the build-up to the festival. If it's surrounding anything that any of our assets that we're involved with, we take that extremely seriously, and we do not want to see it. And there'll be whatever punishment we can administer for those people that cross that line, we will do, whether it be lifetime bans, whether it be police involvement if that's required. We just want people to come and enjoy themselves. You shouldn't have to live your life under a level of persecution from anything or anybody because of music or dress code or anything else. It doesn't make a difference to me whether somebody wants to dress up as a Christmas tree. I don't care. But if that makes them happy, then all power to them. Why not? And I think that's, as a society, how we should all be. We all watch, obviously we all don't watch it, but I'm sure we've all seen over the years Star Trek, and you've got that utopian society of hatred and money and debt, and everything has all disappeared. That'd be amazing. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Now, I look at it this way. We've got the sliding doors and the little mobile flicky phones now. So maybe that's next. Fingers crossed.
You never know. We're getting there. We've got Alexa, so the computers, we're getting there.
Slowly but surely. Yeah. It's taken over. It's either that or Skynet. One of the two.
Wow, yeah. If we could just get teleporters, I'd be so happy.
Oh, wouldn't you just? Yeah, no more planes.
That'd be amazing. But what was it about Sophie's story that made you guys want to say, look, we're going to make a bold statement. We're going to name our stage after her. Not just we're going to raise awareness. Like, we're going to make this big statement. Stage.
It was the ferocity of what happened to her. It was the disgust that everybody felt, and we just did not want this to disappear. From our perspective, and we've got a limited voice, but we have a voice as a festival. And let's not shy away from the incredible work that Sylvie and her brother Adam have done, and the rest of the foundation. They've very much championed and kept this cause alive, and it's become extremely high profile. In the saddest of circumstances. We all wish that we could still do something like this, but Sophie's still here, and able to enjoy the events and her life and everything else. It's unfortunately from sorrow sometimes the better things happen. And for hopefully the right reasons and the bigger picture, if we can stop what happened to Sophie happening to one other person, it's been worth it. And the idea is that we just need to continually have this voice and continually keep reminding people that this is something worth fighting for. This is something that we all need to believe in. We all need to stand behind. And we all have those moments in time where you have a voice in your head because someone's done something to annoy you, and you want to vocalize that in the worst way possible. Just stop. Just wait for a minute, because that comment could make all the difference between somebody being tipped over the edge or not. A kind word goes a lot further than a bad one, if it's done the right way. A bad one can do bad things, and I wouldn't want that on my conscience. So if we can continually keep shouting the same thing and having the same voice for the right reasons, and it is very much for the right reasons, then we'll keep doing it. And we have no intention of changing the name. The foundation is very keen to keep working with us, and then we're looking at sort of seeing ways that we can increase that voice this year. working with the LGBTQ plus I community as well, with sort of a bit more understanding and learning, I think, across the board that we've certainly learned over the last few months, that I think a lot more people need to do as well, because there's a lot of stuff in the world that I don't get, but I don't have to. But what I have to do is be open to let people learn and provide the tools for people to do that, and we all make our own choices, and that's how it should be.
Absolutely.
Tip my hat. I don't know what to say. I just think you've just nailed it.
Again, I've not written it down. It's papers, actually. It's from the heart, but it's not just me that feels that. It's the whole team. Everybody has that same mindset that, this is how we want the festival to be. This is how we want everybody who's involved with the festival to be. Everybody we work with at the festival now, as part of, our learnings over the last sort of 6 months, our policies have now changed where they've got to have an inclusivity and diversity policy within their own business to be working with us, because I think it's so important moving forward that learning is continual, because that will hopefully stop what happened to Sophie happening again, if people have that mindset continually in business and their daily lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know Sylvia and the foundation go to the festival every year to be there for people to come speak to them. Do you have much interaction with them while they're there?
Yeah. We always pop along and say hi, hello. Make sure they've got everything that they need. We're in direct. Rachel talks to them regularly throughout the year, making sure that they've got everything that they need, and anything we can do to sort of make that voice better. The biggest thing obviously is having that stage in perpetuity with the naming and everything else. We've turned down tremendous amounts of money over the years in sponsorship for that stage, because the voice and the requirement of what we want to actually say is worth more to us than the financials. To put that in perspective, over the last 10 years, we've probably turned down £250,000 in revenues.
Wow.
Where we could have taken a profit for the name. But it's in the bigger scheme of things, in the bigger picture, you've got to balance up between right and wrong. And, that became a point of a bone of contention with us morally. There's no problem bringing a sponsor on board if it will work with the naming of the stage, but where a brand wants to come in and just take over the stage name, that didn't sit necessarily that right with us. So the brands have got to be prepared to work with us. And, the only way that would benefit, I guess, the naming is ultimately it would spread the word and spread the name of Sophie even further, which then it works. If it's to bury the name, it doesn't work and doesn't fit.
You're right, though. It works because, say someone's coming to the festival, they go, Sophie Lancaster, who the hell's Sophie Lancaster? They Google that, they find out all about it, they find out all about the foundation. It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of people over the years who've learned so much from it, and everybody I've spoken to that's ever learnt about Sophie has been absolutely, mortified and appalled that happened, for absolutely no reason other than they dressed a certain way, which there's no excuse for in today's society, or even then. So we've got to do as much as we can do collectively, not just at Bloodstock, but everybody who supports it, as you guys are doing, to sort of get that message out.
Absolutely. We had Sylvia on the show, and that was when we messaged and we were like, okay, we want to work with you guys. I know we can't do a lot, but stick out your name in the background. We'll wear the merch every week, just try and raise that awareness. We've spoken to them. We want to try and come to Bloodstock if we can get the money together to go, so we can help them out. Just like go around, talk to people, get people to come to the
Look, we endorse anybody that wants to come to the festival and sort of, help the foundation, everything else like that. We welcome it with open arms, because I think it's a very, very important thing to discuss and talk to. So, you guys get yourselves down there this year, we'll get you sorted there and just come along and do your thing. Definitely.
Yes, we really want to try and do it. So moving on from that, do you have any particular standout moments from the festival over the years? Be it be good, be it be bad, just anything, just like...
We had one of our first open airs, I think it was 2005, 2006. The stage was hit by lightning on one of the days. Yeah. Stage was hit by lightning. The fans thought it was actually part of the show, which was just how they figured we worked that one out. I don't know.
Just so damn metal.
It's like, how'd you do it? Do it again. We can't do it again. The wind hit the stage so bad that the stage went kind of like that a little bit. So the stage kind of started leaning over it, but we got away with it somehow. So yeah, that was quite a bit exciting moment, I guess, where things could have gone wrong. We had another year. I think we were due to open on the Thursday, and the Wednesday morning we were told the second and third stages weren't coming because the contractor at that time hadn't told us he was struggling and ended up going belly up the day before the show.
No.
Oh shit!
Yeah, which, as you can imagine, when you're trying to put a whole infrastructure in for 2 stages in 24 hours, was a little trying.
A little bit, yeah.
But to be fair, the community rallied together very quickly, and within, I think, about 18 hours, we had 2 stages installed with lighting, PAs, and everything else. It wasn't perfect, but it enabled the show to go on. So yeah, we learned with that, and we still work with those contractors now, which is great to do. So yeah, there's been trying moments, I guess. One of the big outstanding moments for me was, and I love getting, a lot of foreign acts and foreign bands over as well. Likes we've got Bloodywood coming this year, and I'm a big sort of fan of Ginger. I can't wait to see Ginger play this year. Obviously, with everything going in the Ukraine, I hope that still happens.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will. But it's one of those things that you sort of, I love the international side of what we can do and bring in and sort of help give a lot of bands that next tier up. We've been fortunate enough that we've been able to work with a lot of bands and give them their first UK headline shows. The likes of Gojira, they were sort of first headline show at a festival was Bloodstock. We've done it with Mastodon, we've done it with Ghost, we've done it with I can't remember the top of my head now, but we've done it with countless bands where we've tried to do that throughout the year. And it's not because we've sort of felt they've needed a lift up, it's just that we've recognized the fact that that's where they now sit, and it's enabled them to be more elevated in the UK because they're seen as headliners rather than, we'll book them, stick a mid-card somewhere, so it's working with the bands to deliver, help them, and it helps us, and we can deliver something a little bit more dynamic than just the same old.
Absolutely love it.
So obviously your lineups have just got bigger, stronger, huge, massive from beginning to now. Did you ever think that the festival would be as successful as it is today?
In the early years, no. I mean, it's taken sort of over 20 years to be an overnight success, I think, is the story we're trying to go tell people. But it's something that we'd always hoped from year one, that we had this dream of where it could sit and where it could be. I won't sit here now and say we make millions of pounds from this festival. We don't. Festivals kind of don't sort of make money until they're over 95% capacity. That's the rule of thumb when it comes to sort of putting your mass on for cost versus everything else. And if you don't sell your festival out, you don't make money. It's as simple as that. But whereas we tend to sort of work very passionately with the fans, and we have such a belief because we are fans ourselves. In the early years, there were mortgages on the line, there were houses on the line, there was a lot of personal risk with a lot of the directors that, quite simply, if this doesn't work, then it's not just a case of, oh, well, back to the day job. It's, right, where am I living? It's kind of one of those. You go through a lot of that, and Paul and Rachel and Vicky and everyone's kind of, we all sat in that circle and kind of went through those dilemmas. But I think there was so much belief and passion behind what we sort of believed Bloodstock would be. We stuck with it, whereas probably many would have given up and sort of walked away. Vince in the early years decided after a few years that he couldn't commit the time to it any longer, and was doing his day job, and he was very busy doing that. And it was at that point that Paul took the mantle himself to think, no, I'm not going to let this disappear. I believe it can be something. And he did. And as kids, we kind of all stepped up to the plate and had our roles defined, and were able to sort of, over the years, and it's taken time, to turn it into what we'd like to think now is an amazing UK festival that fans really enjoy. It's the biggest independent metal festival in the UK, which is great. But that's taken a tremendous amount of heartache and, as I said, colourful arguments or conversations.
Yeah.
And as I said, I had a full head of hair before I started all of this, and it's all gone. That's why I always wear a hat now. It's yeah.
I was going to say, Tom's trick there.
Yeah. No matter how hot it gets, wearing the hat, we're keeping the hat on.
100%.
So before we wrap up, I'm going to have to ask, if anyone is at home, they're on the fence about attending the festival, what would you say to them to convince them to buy that ticket to come along to Bloodstock?
The big differential with Bloodstock, I like to think, over a lot of festivals, and so many fans tell me the same thing, and I've had it from bands and agents and managers and people generally, is that when they walk through the gate, it's almost as though you're walking into an aura of difference. It's so family feel orientated. And when I mean that, I don't mean there's lots of children running around and what I mean is you feel at home. You feel relaxed, you feel part of everything. And it doesn't matter whether you're wearing denim and leather or black or pink or whatever whatever you're comfortable in. You know, people just turn up, no one's judging, everybody's just there for exactly the same reason. There's no trouble, there's no idiots. It's quite simply great beer, great music, great people. And it's just an opportunity to sort of let your hair down for a bit, or in my case, take my hat off, you know, and just be yourself. And I think that's the big USP we tend to have, because as festival promoters, directors, whatever you want to call it, we have our finger on every bit of touch point of the festival. So we walk the sites, we go to the car parks, the campsites, we walk around the traders, we constantly across the weekend continually walking about, because we want every area of the festival to feel different and magical, and we want it to feel as we would expect it to be. So if we see something wrong, or somebody says, well, I'm not really happy about that, then we need to try and fix it on the weekend, not the following year or anything else like that. You can't always do that. But where people will come up to me and say, oh, I've just been such and such, and they'll see me walking around, and, you know, we talk to people and how's your weekend going? If we pick up on anything negative, let's try and fix it before they go home so they can see we listen. You know, so I think the big thing that we have over probably a lot of other events is that personal touch, that personal feel, and that closeness to the fans, because as I said, we are fans, you know, that's the whole point.
Beautiful.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Tom, have you got any more questions?
Yes. Did you ever think that when you were a mechanic / car working in car dealership, and then your dad had this amazing idea that you would be yourself, did you ever think this is where you'd be today?
No, not even slightly. No, I don't tend to look more than 5 years ahead. You know, when I was a mechanic, you know, I only think at that point then will I at some point become a master mechanic or whatever. Yeah. And, you know, 2 years into doing that and scrubbing grease out of my fingernails, well, that wasn't going to happen, you know. And then it's, you know, I think we're all guilty of living day to day to a degree, because we don't ultimately know what the future holds, and we've been through so many changes in our lives, and certainly as you get older. As I said, I'm immensely fortunate enough to be doing what I do, and I'm so grateful that I'm allowed to do that. You know, that I see Bloodstock now, I'm looking 10, 20 years ahead and seeing where the festival will be then. But it's not about being 5 times bigger than we are today. It's about being able to deliver every single year, you know. And I think to do that, we have to keep hold of the audience size. So our aspirations aren't to get 50, 60, 70, 80,000 and be the next download or anything else. Our aspirations are to sit 20, 25,000 and deliver quality every single year as best as we can.
Stunning.
Thank you.
Stunning.
Love it. Before we let you go, Adam, would you like to play our little game we like to play with our guests?
Without knowing what it is, I'll give it a go.
It's called the quick fire round. All we do is we ask you 5 questions and you answer them as quick as you can. And they're all about you, so you're going to know the answers.
Well, either that or making it up. Go on then.
Favorite pizza topping?
I don't like cheese, so I have a meat feast, no cheese. I have a thing, it's a mental block, quite simply. It's mouldy milk. That's, I can't get it out of my head. Cheese is just mouldy milk. Whoever came up with the concept of the milk's gone off, what does that taste like? They want shooting. It's just no.
Oh, Adam.
Sorry.
What toppings
That's
for?
all right.
No, I have. Well, basically, it's like bread with red sauce on them, really, isn't it? I guess that's what it is. with different toppings. That's my thing, and I do have that quite often. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
It's fair enough.
Works for you. If it
Not
works,
for
It
everyone,
works
is
for
it?
me.
Yeah.
Your favorite movie sequel?
My favorite sequel. Oh Christ. To be honest, probably Matrix. I did enjoy the Matrix and the series of that. I thought they were great, you know, and they did get better and better to start with. Not too keen on the latest one, I have to say. I think they kind of missed the trick on that.
Agreed.
But the first 3 certainly I thought were gold.
Very rarely you hear someone say something nice about the third Matrix.
No, it was all right. But it's like anything, isn't it? I think they tend to they try and get too clever, don't they? They do 1 and 2 and they're great. And then the third one comes along and you can just tell they've tried too hard.
Yeah.
And they've kind of run out of steam right at the end. You just think, all right, could have been, you nearly did it, but yeah, but the second one certainly I think was great.
Second one is great. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favourite snack food?
Bourneville dark chocolate.
Oh, good choice.
Yeah,
Great shout.
Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah. I get myself one of those big bars, and it'll last me the week, but I like snacking a chunk off now and again, just when I'm working away. And yeah,
that is some incredible self-control. That bar last you a week. I'm impressed.
Yeah, we've got one here.
That's why I said it. That'll do.
Yeah. No, it's there. Don't worry.
Who would play you in the movie of your life?
Kevin Bacon, and I'll tell you for why. Because no, it wouldn't. I think it would be Johnny Depp. Now, the reason I say that is I was walking through Bloodstock one year, and a guy called Will Johnson, who looks after our VIP, I was walking through the field with him, and I can't as I do most years, people come up and say hello and have a chat and everything else. And so you go in sort of 10 feet, stop, 10 feet, stop, 10 feet, stop. And he just turned around to me and he said something to him. And I said, mate, I just know how Johnny Depp feels now when he's walking around streets. And he's never let me forget that. And every time he does now, every opportunity he gets, he's photoshopped me and Johnny Depp in every possible scenario you could think of. So it'd have to be Johnny Depp for that reason and that reason.
That story alone. Amazing.
Yeah. I don't even know why I said Johnny Depp. It could have been any actor at all, but it was the first one that came out of my head. So.
And last question: if you were to get in a time machine, go back in time, and give one piece of advice to young Mr. Adam Gregory, what would that be?
Don't give in. Keep going. Just simply that. Keep going. I think it's we go through so many years of doubt, and questioning ourselves and ability, and is this going to work? And I've had so many years, as everybody has, of worry and. Are we going to be able to be still doing this in 10, 15 years time? If I could go back and certainly to the start of Bloodstock and just say, stick with it, it will work. I'd love to be able to do that because it'd give me so many sort of nights I could sleep and relax. But I'm sure, let's be honest, I'm sure we could all have that same argument, couldn't we?
Absolutely. I think what you've done, what you've created, what your dad, his vision that he had back in the year 2000 is just amazing. What you do for the metal community, and we tip our hats. We thank you very much, and we salute you, sir. Thank you for everything.
No, thank you. Look, it's important to remember, as I said, it's not just us. The fact that we sit where we do, if it wasn't for the hundreds of people that team up each year and deliver what we consider to be one of the UK's premier events, it quite simply wouldn't happen. So for us, we're immensely grateful for everybody that's involved that spares their time, whether it be a volunteer, whether it be a contractor or whatever, and a fan that makes Bloodstock what it is. And let's be honest, without the fans, there's no events. So we have to thank that and be grateful people turn up each year.
Absolutely. I'll piggyback on what Tom said, what your family's created. It's inspiring for independent creators as well. Because, if your dad hadn't sat there one day and gone, I'm going to start a festival, let's pop over the road, And
sometimes you just have to be ballsy. Sometimes you just got to grab the opportunity and just give it a go. I think the worst thing we can do is get to the end of life, or into our 80s, 90s, whatever, and think, I wish I'd done that.
Yeah.
I want to live my life and get to my 80s and 90s, hopefully, and be able to look back and go, what a ride that was. That's where I want to sit. I don't want to sit with regret. I want to sit with I've done and I've tried. And you know what? I'm going to fail a lot along the way, but I only need a few successes to make it all worth it.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you so much. Before we let you go, any plugs, social medias you want people to go check out?
No, just get along to bloodstock.uk.com, grab your tickets if you've not got them already, and sort of just come with us and enjoy the weekend and just have some memories made. That's all it's about now. Create the memories.
Absolutely love it.
And we definitely hope to see you there as well. We are planning on coming down. So
good.
We're
going to try our best.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Adam, sir, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure at all. And I really appreciate your time and taking the interest in talking about Bloodstock.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it will be out next Friday.
Send us a link for it if you will, and we'll get it shared for you as well.
You're true, gent. Perfect. Gent.
Our pleasure.
Have a wonderful evening, sir. You take care of
too.
yourself.
Take care.
We'll speak soon. See you later, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, Jamie, do you like being cozy?
I do.
And do you like staying cozy?
I like that even more.
Then just heading over to www.staycozyclothing.com.
where you can find hoodies, tees, sweaters, and much, much more.
And just enter The Chronicles as one word at checkout to receive 10% off your order.
And make sure you follow them on the Instagram at Stay Cozy Clothing to keep up to date with all the new designs.
Remember, guys, that's The Chronicles as one word at checkout to receive 10% off your order. And now back to this week's episode.
What an incredible conversation. I loved this so much.
It was great.
Fascinating.
So great to find out how festivals really work and operate and how much manpower it needs and what they need for this, that, and the other, how to get the bands on board. Insane. And literally, like I said before the interview started, how literally, if you had put your mind to something and you really wanted to work that badly, if you work your fucking ass off, look what happens.
It's amazing.
Ta-da.
And I just love that story of getting 2 stages within, 48 hours? Or
Something
not even
ridiculous,
that.
yeah.
Some stupid like that. Just nuts. The stuff that you have to do. It's amazing.
There are some wonderful people out in this world. Guys, we hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we did recording it.
Hey there, I'm Frank Guglielmelli, and I'm the narrator for the audio drama Feed, featuring such audio dramas as Bounty Hunters, Marty and Mars, Val Toby, and so much more. You can find all of these wonderful programs on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Or you can go to our website at www.audiodramafeed.com. We are thrilled to be affiliated with the Chronicles of Podcast with Tom and Jamie.